Hi there, it's Amy from Cakes with Faces, and today is a video I've been wanting to make for a long time. I finally made it to Coco Curry in London, so at last we can find out if it's the same in London as it is in Japan. Coco Curry is a huge chain of curry restaurants in Japan. It says it's the largest curry chain in the world. I actually can't think of any others, so maybe there's a gap in the market there. I've been to it many times and I always want to go back. It's satisfying and delicious, and I know lots of you love it as well. A few years ago, they opened up a branch in London. I've been meaning to go for ages, and now I've finally made it there. I've got an in-depth analysis for you of how it compares to Japan. We're going to look at the taste of the curry itself, the spice level, the choices on the menu, the prices, and the general ambience of the restaurant. And I also discovered a few new menu items in Japan that I hadn't seen before. There's new Japan videos on my channel every other Thursday if you want to subscribe. And if you like the t-shirt I'm wearing today, my katsu curry t-shirt, it's my design. You can get it from cakeswithfaces.co.uk, and I've also got ramen t-shirts and hoodies as well. Originally, I intended to film this whole video at the restaurant, but when we got in there and sat down, our table was right in front of the desk where all the staff were hanging around, and it just felt a bit awkward. I do try and be a bit subtle with my filming when I'm out and about, but I did film the most important part, the food, and I'm going to give you all the information, possibly more than you really want. So first, where is Coco Curry in London? Currently there are two restaurants. One's near Leicester Square and the other one is near Oxford Street. They're both really central, convenient locations. So if you're spending the day in London, you're probably going to be near one of these two at some point. I went to the one near Leicester Square, which was the first one they opened. It's quite small, it doesn't really have that many tables. I went on a weekday just after they opened for lunch, and it was pretty quiet at that time. It is run by the same company that runs Coco Curry in Japan, so it's the authentic official version. It's not a copy by some other company. On to the most important part, how did it taste? The curry is just the same as it is in Japan, and also very important, the rice is just as good as well. It's cooked perfectly and the whole thing is really delicious and satisfying. So if you're in London, you really can get a taste of Japan. It's just as good. I was happy they had these pickles on the table, just like they have in Japan. I really like them. And they also had this shaker pot of spice. So if you choose a spice level that's a bit too low, you can add some of that and make it more spicy. Next, let's compare the menus. The menu is very similar to Japan. Basically, different toppings with curry sauce and rice. There are some differences, but on the whole, it's pretty similar. It looks like a huge menu book, but really it's just different combinations of toppings. One thing we notice is that in Japan, pork katsu curry is one of the main menu items. There's different types of pork katsu and different cuts, whereas in London, it's chicken katsu curry that's the most popular option. But that makes sense when you think that in Japan, katsu is typically tonkatsu, which is pork, whereas in England, it's chicken katsu curry that everyone knows and loves. There's also a difference in the choice of curry sauces. In Japan, you choose between pork, beef, vegetarian or hashed beef. And in London, it's not quite so clear what the choices are. It seems to be a standard meat-based sauce or the vegetarian sauce. So you don't get to choose between pork or beef or hashed beef. There are a few items that are only available in London. There's fried chicken dumpling curry with gyoza, which makes sense because gyoza are so popular in the UK. There's a whole page of basket meals with various unhealthy deep fried things in a basket. There's fried shrimp, salmon and potato wedges, and chicken and fried gyoza. Although you can get French fries as a side in Japan, and there's a fries and chicken nuggets bowl. This curry gratin is only in London. That's rice with curry sauce and melted cheese on top. And this omelette curry is also only on the menu in London. It's like a curry version of omu rice. That's rice inside an omelette. And you also don't get naan bread in Japan as standard, although it is on the kids menu, and I had it once as a special, but it's not on the standard menu. And they have salads at both. Next, let's compare the choice of toppings. One of the great things about Coco Curry is you can have whatever toppings you want to customize your curry. You can even add an extra katsu cutlet, a sausage, a hamburger, and whatever vegetables you like. You don't really need to choose one of the dishes from the menu. You can basically have whatever combination you want. Personally, I always have cheese. It's really stringy and melty and makes it quite messy to eat, but it's really good. I'd never have cheese in a curry at home, but when I go to Coco Curry, it's a must. There are a couple of differences in the range of toppings they have in Japan and London. One of the things I was surprised about was they do have natto in London, which is typically one of those things that's very much an acquired taste. A lot of Westerners don't like it. It's fermented soybeans and they have quite a strong taste and a kind of slimy texture. So the toppings they only have in London are bubble fried salmon, although they do have fried fish in breadcrumbs on the Japanese menu, which looks quite similar. I think bubble fried is just an unusual way of saying battered. There's Japanese barbecue, which might be called something different on the Japanese menu. It looks like mixed meats with some sort of sauce or spice. And kimchi is only on the menu in London. In Japan, they have more choices of different types of pork cutlets, crab cream croquette, garlic bits, which surprised me because they don't need any preparation, so I don't know why they would have taken them off the menu. Tartar sauce, and something called stamina pork liver, which is supposed to give you more energy, especially in the summer. There's also a slight difference in the size of the portion of rice. In London you get 250 grams as standard, and in Japan you get 300 grams. It's only 50 grams more, but I don't know why they would have changed it. Maybe to save money? You can have a larger portion if you want to, or you can have a smaller portion, and all the sizes are slightly different. It seems like a strange change to have made. Japanese portions are known for being smaller, but that's not the case here. Coco Curry will always give you a really big, satisfying meal that will definitely fill you up. When I was comparing the menus, I noticed a few new items on the menu in Japan that I hadn't seen before. They've now got allergen-free curry, which is made without 7 ingredients that people are often allergic to. It's made without egg, milk, wheat, buckwheat, peanut, shrimp or crab. I don't know if they have it at every store, but it is in the standard menu book, so that's good to know if you have allergies. They do actually have quite comprehensive allergen information on their website in English. I think they often have this sort of information in Japan, but because of the language barrier, it's not always accessible if you don't read Japanese. They also have low carb curry, which came out in 2019. That one has cauliflower rice instead of normal rice. Coco Curry really isn't the place to go if you're trying to be healthy, but it's good they have it as an option. There's also a soy meat hamburger for vegetarians that came out in 2020. So I don't know if that means they now have vegetarian curry sauce at all their restaurants. Before it used to only be at select branches. I've got a list of them on my website, so that's something to check. Next, let's compare the prices, and this is where there's the biggest difference between London and Japan. I had the mixed vegetable curry, which in Japan is 745 yen, which is £4.92, and in London it's £10, so it's double the price. Phil had the pork cutlet curry, which in Japan is 809 yen or £5.34, and in London it's £12.30, more than double. Just to compare a couple more items, the egg salad in Japan is 262 yen, which is £1.72, and in London that's £3.50. And to drink, an orange juice in Japan is 157 yen, or £1.04, and in London it's £1.90. So across the board, prices in London are at least double what they are in Japan. It's funny because it's a common perception that Japan and especially Tokyo are really expensive, when in reality it's London that is the really expensive place. As it's the capital city, London is a lot more expensive for everything than the rest of England, and eating out in the UK is a lot more expensive than it is in Japan. I'm sure Coco Curry has really high rent to cover for these central locations in London, and I'm not sure how things like rent and salaries compare between England and Japan, but these prices are actually quite reasonable for eating out in London. There are loads of other restaurants that are way more expensive, and yet they're still double what they would be in Japan. Moving on from that, let's look at how the spice levels compare. Now, the great thing about Coco Curry is it is completely customizable and you can choose what spice level you want for your curry. Now, these things are kind of difficult to talk about because everyone has a different idea of what's spicy and what isn't, and we all have different tolerances. I knew someone who thought ginger nut biscuits were too spicy. So to give you a frame of reference, we do both like quite spicy things. I don't really think sauces from the supermarket are spicy or takeaway curries, although I don't normally order anything like a vindaloo. So we both like quite spicy things. When I'm in Japan, I don't usually ask for a spice level at Coco Curry because I want to make sure I get the vegetarian curry, which isn't the default, so I don't want to cause any confusion or complicate it too much. Phil usually orders a level 3, which he finds quite hot and spicy. In London, he ordered a level 2 and I went for the same, and we both thought it was quite spicy. Not too hot or too spicy, but just like, oh yeah, that is quite spicy, and we both really enjoyed it. And I think the spice levels are the same in Japan as in London. However, in Japan, the spice levels go up to level 10, and in London, they only go up to 5. So I don't know what's going on there. Did they think we couldn't handle above level 5? But don't worry about it not being spicy enough because it is pretty spicy. In Japan, you're not allowed level 6 and above until you've finished a whole portion of level 5. I don't know how they check that. Maybe there's some sort of secret membership card. And the scale on the Japanese menu is a lot more fun. In London, you've got medium hot, hot, extra hot, super hot, and crazy hot. And in Japan, you get much more poetic descriptions. Level 1 stimulates your taste buds with a bit of spice. And level 5 is not for the faint-hearted. Consider the consequences. And in Japan, there's also an extra scale with the mildness level. So if you don't want a spicy curry, you can have a mild sweet curry. Curry does tend to be quite sweet in Japan. That's not really a thing in England, so I guess that's why they got rid of it. Next, we'll take a look at the ambience of the restaurant. I think the restaurant in London had a slightly more upmarket feel than it does in Japan. In Japan, Coco Curry is a fast food restaurant, a bit like Yoshinoya, where you can just get a quick, cheap meal. That's something I really miss about Japan, how fast food isn't just burgers and chips and deep fried things. If you don't have much time, you can grab a quick bowl of noodles or some curry rice. In Japan, the decor in Coco Curry tends to be quite plain. On the walls, they have posters advertising various dishes or the specials. In London, they had the same sorts of seating. There's booths and stalls along a bar in the window, and it's still a casual place to eat, but the decor feels slightly more upmarket. There's artwork up, and the walls have wood or stone effect, and there's plants. Strangely, they had upside down plants on the ceiling, which was quite unusual. Maybe it's because it's newer, but I felt like the restaurant looked slightly more upmarket than it does in Japan. Something I liked was how when we went in, the staff shouted out "Rashaimase," just like they do when you're in Japan. It means welcome. And the staff were talking to each other in Japanese, which made it feel a little bit like being back in Japan. So would I recommend it? Yes, I absolutely would. The curry is just the same, it's just as good. And while there are a few differences in the menu, it's very minor, so you're not missing anything, unless you really love those garlic bits. And in fact, they have more extra dishes in the menu in London. It's interesting that the style of the restaurant is slightly different, but that doesn't make a huge difference. While the spice levels only go up to 5, levels 3, 4 and 5 are pretty spicy and they are the real deal, so don't worry about it not being spicy enough. It is annoying that the prices are double what they are in Japan, but judging by local standards, they are actually quite reasonable prices for London, and in any case, it's a lot less than a flight to Japan. So yes, I would absolutely recommend it. If you've been, tell me what you thought in the comments. And if you have Coco Curry in your country, tell me what it's like. And if you want to know more about Coco Curry and how England played a tiny part in bringing curry to Japan, this video's on my channel. And I'll see you not next week, but the week after on Thursday. Bye bye.